really good roots on these. Wow. This right here is a dub tub. Basically double tub. And these are basically 2 plastic shoe boxes that you can buy at any Dollar Tree 99-cent store. And it makes for a really great propagation chamber for a lot of different kind of cuttings. In this video, I'm going to show you how I use this to propagate some variegated Trident Maple cuttings. Okay, so this is my variegated Trident Maple. And you know, as far as the variegation on leaves go, not a lot of bonsai artists will say that they love it. But I love variegated trees, variegated plants, variegated almost everything. And so I love this variegated Trident Maple because it's not a very common one that you'll be able to find in the nurseries or anywhere, to be honest with you. I lucked out on eBay, of all places, and got this a few years back. And so I threw it into a box to let it grow and let it develop because I want this to be my mother stock. For cuttings, for air layers, things like that. And so I want it to tap into the ground and really get rooted in and get healthy and vigorous. So right now it's spring and the leaves come out kind of like this mottled light green color. Once summer hits though, it gets into this dark green, dark rich green with lots of white and beautiful. So last year I took cuttings from this thing, I think around probably June, end of June, and then put into what I call a dub tub. So this is basically 2 plastic shoe boxes that are kind of enclosed like a clamshell together to lock in the humidity. And this is how I rooted a bunch of Trident Maple, variegated Trident Maple cuttings out of it. Now, maples, I have the hardest time. I might get like 1, 2, maybe 5% success rate. These guys, maybe 30%. And the thing about, you know, getting cuttings from maples is that, you know, for bonsai, having a grafted tree is something that most people who have been doing it for a while, they don't see that as a valuable tree. And, you know, a lot of times people try to ground layer, air layer, so that way they get the tree on its own rootstock. The reason why nurseries do it, because, you know, they typically put rare cultivars onto a healthier rootstock that will help the tree grow better. But the number one reason why they do it is because variegation is a chimera. It's a mutant. They do not grow true from seed. And so even if you think you're gonna, so don't go online and buy variegated anything seeds, because most likely the genetics won't come out the same. It's very low. And so, you know, that's why people graft. They take a cutting of this, graft it onto another rootstock, and then they can continue on the exact variety, species, cultivar, whatever you want to call it. You know, a lot of nurseries come up with their own names, and so it gets a little bit confusing at times. So yeah, anyways, I'm going to show you that video. It's called the dub tub propagation method, and I got that term from the folks who grow mushrooms. It's how they grow their mycelium. And so, anyways, check out the video. Okay, back in June of 2024, I took the Trident Maple cuttings and stuck them into the dub tub. Now, as far as the substrate goes, I used pumice, a little bit of sand, and a little bit of akadama actually, and then I sealed the dub tub up with another shoebox and tried to keep the humidity around 80 to 90%. Now, let's check out these cuttings about 3 months later. All right. These are variegated Trident Maple cuttings that I took in, I believe it was either June or July. I don't remember exactly. And I put them into a shoebox and put another shoebox on top of it, same size, and created a little mini greenhouse so that way I can root them. I root them indoors on a windowsill facing the west. Not that it makes any difference. South may have been better. Typically more light comes through from that direction. So here
You can see a lot of them have dropped their leaves, but there's still a lot that are green. And I haven't really watered them except for now, and it's been about 3-4 months. And I want to check up on them and get rid of some of this leaf debris in here, because I don't want the debris to then decompose, because what decomposes leaves are mold and fungus. And if you have that running rampant, then you could potentially kill off the entire batch of trees. So how do I know these are rooted without pulling them out of the tray? So one of the advantages of doing it in a see-through shoebox like this is that it's see-through. So simply I can just look at the bottom and see whether or not roots have been growing. I mean, it's just that simple. It doesn't need to be complicated. So the substrate is actually pumice, and I've added a little bit of sand because I realized that with skinny cuttings, sometimes pumice doesn't make a full contact with the wood because of how much gap that can be created between the larger granules. And adding sand to that mix, or even to the top of the mix, helps to create more contact between the cutting and the substrate, which is where you can get the moisture from. So yeah, I mean, I did not water this thing for 4 months. So that mist spray that I use is the first watering that I made to this box. So I'm just going through here, picking out dead leaves, getting rid of the potential of those dead leaves causing problems to the box. So I'll leave this in here for a while because now we're into October. I can't separate these out for probably, I don't know, not till spring, unfortunately. So it is a better idea to start them earlier and then potentially getting them to root by, let's say, August. Gives you another month if you did separate them out to then have them develop on their own roots. So for now, it was an experiment to kind of do it this method versus some of the other methods I've done in the past. Keeping it outside, keeping it in the greenhouse, bagging it up, and keeping it outdoors. And I've tried all those other methods too and haven't had much success with it. But I've done this via another video, and I'll put a link for that video, where I did get some pretty decent success using a humidifier and then putting it into a Sterilite box, and then floating, kind of like the tray of cuttings over some bricks, and then putting water into the box so that way it keeps the humidity up. So the reason why I'm misting it now is because these guys have been contained in a very humid greenhouse effect. And to open it means I'm exposing it to much drier air. I mean, the ambient humidity inside of the house for us typically is about 35 to 40%. And ideal humid conditions for rooting should be about 80 to 90. And so I don't want to desiccate these new or these cuttings, doing this work and then letting them dry out and then, you know, setting them back and causing issues that way. Okay, so we are now into March 2025 with these Trident Maple Cuttings that I took last year. They've been in this bin rooting, and some of them have taken. I've already removed a lot that have desiccated and dried out and died. But yeah, the weather's warming up, and I want to get these into their own pots. So let's take a look at some of the results. Okay, got just a bowl of rainwater here, and I need something to pry them up with. I don't want to just yank it out and rip out the roots. Okay, so this little small rake tool is probably the best tool for the job. Let's take a look at some of the roots on these guys. All right, that's not bad. 2 little tap roots. I'm going to put them in water so they don't dry out and die on me. And make it this far, to lose them kind of at the end of the road, which would be disappointing. So there are some really good roots in here. Like there's some resistance as far as, you know, me trying to get these guys pried up, but these are all dried and dead sticks. I love the idea of propagating plants. I mean, it is literally making something out of, you know, just trash, because these would have gone into the compost, and it's worth a try. And having ungrafted variegated Trident maple would be very cool to play with. There's a lot of bonsai purists that don't like variegated plants, but, or excuse me, variegated bonsai, but I do like variegated plants, and I like the idea of having a variegated Trident maple. The mother tree that this came from was a grafted tree. Actually, I might have to double check that. I don't think it was a grafted tree. It might be on its own roots, but I let that guy sit in a pot and then tap into the ground where it will grow strong and vigorous. This is a long root. Very long root. Oh, come on, I don't want to break it. Okay. Wow. There it is. Super long root. And nice variegation on that. Put it right into the water. Look at all these. They're looking great, actually. So this is just pure pumice. If you did catch the beginning, really good roots on these. Wow. Really good roots. So I'm pretty pleased, pretty happy with the results. Now they look like crap because I did not give them enough light. I'm talking about the kind of the leaves, but the root system is great, actually. So super happy with that. Get all of these out. Look at that, one little taproot on that. There we go. Oh my gosh, look at the roots on this. This is about like a foot long. No leaves, lots of roots, which is fine by me. I mean, the roots are very important. I think they're probably more important than the leaves at this stage in their life, because it's what creates the plumbing that feeds up to the rest of the tree. So so these roots will help generate with decent light. I'm going to put them somewhere with high humidity and not in the house, where generally the humidity in my house is about 30 to 45, which is probably not good enough. And so I've been keeping I've been gradually exposing these cuttings to lower humidity, so that way they can get used to acclimating to drier humidity. Because in the tub, I'm trying to keep it up around 80 to 90% humidity, which keeps the cuttings from drying out and desiccating, gives them enough moisture to be alive. Okay, so I'm going to take this mix and actually add a little bit more akadama. That way I have some better water retention. So yeah, I think out of all of that, I probably pulled out a good, I'd say 20 cuttings or so that are good in line. Look at the root system on that. Just beautiful. Now, as I get these into the pots, one of the things I'm very cognizant of is to make sure they're centered. And it seems like kind of a tedious thing, and they'll grow fine even if they're pushed into the corner. But what I'm trying to avoid is a root system that gets pressed up to one side where it doesn't grow out evenly and radially. So if they get pushed up to the side of the wall of the pot, what happens then is you're going to have some roots that will grow thick and coarse, and uneven root system or nabari that kind of derail the aesthetic. So definitely want to avoid that. Now, what I'm going to do is not pot every single one of these cuttings up individually. Only reason is because I don't know if all of them will make it. So this transition into soil and then into a different environment could probably kill off a certain percentage of these cuttings. I've known this from doing fig cuttings in the past, where this is a very crucial part of the process, and very, very easy to lose your cuttings in this process. I think that's everything. Right, here we go. So we're just going to add enough soil, cover that root system. I'm going to do that for every single pot. Alrighty, I've got them in pots. I've got them in good drainage soil, and now I'm soaking it and kind of bottom watering it from the bottom, so that way I don't wash away the soil as it sits on top of the very delicate root system. And I'm trying to be gentle as possible. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to put these guys into 100% full shade. Right now we're pretty cool, still in March, probably 40s and 50s. And good time to bring these guys out, so that way they're not baking in the summer heat and they're not too cold from frost. Here in the Seattle area, I think we're pretty clear. I know that the folks right now in the Midwest and East Coast, they're about to hit some really cold temperatures and snowstorms, so don't want to do that there. Here's okay. Oh, one more thing to add. This is all water that has been collected from my rain barrel system. So it's all rainwater. Very, 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 very low GH and no chlorine. And I've noticed with variegated plants, when they have a lot of white, if you use tap water, they tend to burn, they tend to turn brown and crispy. And so I want to avoid that with tap water or hose water. Even in Seattle here, we do have some hard water that comes out. You can see it from the calcium deposits. And so this is all rainwater.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed that video. Hope you found it informative, and I hope that you find that propagating plants is really easy. It's nothing to be too concerned about. If you fail, it's not a big deal. These were cuttings that you could potentially thrown away or composted, and so you're turning nothing into something, and I find that really intriguing and fun to do. All right, see you next time. I hope you liked the video. If you like it, please share and show that you care. All right, see you guys.